Okay, welcome back. We're going to keep reading on what happened to Bruno Jenkins. Does he turn into a mouse or doesn't he? We'll find out. Ready? The alarm has gone off, said the Grand Hide Witch. The mouse maker is beginning to work. She started dancing around on the platform and clapping her gloved hands together and then shouted, This smelly brat, this filthy scum, this horrid little louse will very soon become a lovely little mouse. Bruno was getting smaller by the second. I could see him shrinking. Now his clothes seemed to be disappearing and brown fur was growing all over his body. Suddenly he had a tail, then he had whiskers, and now he had 4 feet. All this was happening so quickly it was a matter of seconds only. And all at once he wasn't there anymore. A small brown mouse was lying around on the tabletop. So here they show you in the book what he started out with and then how he finishes. Bravo, yelled the audience. She's done it. It works. It's fantastic. It's colossal. It's the greatest yet. You are a miracle, oh brainy one. They were all standing up and clapping and cheering, and the Grand Hide Witch produced a mousetrap from her folds of her dress and started to set it. Oh no, I thought. I don't want to see this. Bruno Jenkins might have been a bit stinky or been a stinker, but I'm dashed if I want him catching his head chopped off. Where is he? Where did that mouse go? She couldn't find him. Clever Bruno must have jumped off the table and scampered onto some corner or even down a small hole. Thank heavens for that. It matters not. Silence and sit down. The Grand Hide Witch stood at the very center of the platform, and those dangerous eyes of hers traveled slowly around the audience of witches who were sitting so meekly before her. All those are 70. Put up your hands, she barked suddenly. 7 or 8 hands went up in the air. It comes to me that you ancient ones will not be able to climb high trees in search of gruntled eggs. No, we won't, your grandness. We are afraid we won't. Nor will you be able to catch the crack cruncher who lives up high in the rocky cliffs. I can't exactly see you sprinting after the speedy cat springer either, or diving to deep waters to spear the blabbersnitch, or striding the bleak moors with the gun under your arm to shoot the globbersquirt. You are too old and feeble for these things. We are. You ancient ones have served me well over the years, and I do not wish to deny you the pleasure of bumping off a few thousand children each just because you have become old and feeble. I have therefore prepared personally with my own hands a limited quantity of delayed action mousemaker, which I will distribute to the ancient ones before you leave the hotel. Oh, thank you, thank you. You are far too good to us, your grandness. You are so kind and thoughtful. Here's a sample of what I'm giving you. She fished around in a pocket of her dress and brought out a small, very small bottle. She held it up and shouted, In this tiny bottle is 500 roses of mousemaker. Is enough to turn 500 children into mice. The bottle that was made of dark blue glass, and it was very small, about the size of one that you buy at a drugstore with nose drops in them. Each of you ancient ones will get 2 of these bottles. Oh, thank you, most generous and thoughtful one. Not 1 drop will be wasted. Each of us will promise to squish and squab and squiggle 1,000 children. Our meeting is over, announced the Grand Hide Witch. Here is the timetable for the remainder of your stay in the hotel. Right now, we must go on to Sunshine Terrace and have tea with that ridiculous manager. Next, at 6 o'clock, those witches who are too old to climb trees after gruntled eggs will report to my room to receive 2 bottles each of the mousemaker. My room number is 454. Do not forget it. Then at 8 o'clock, all of you will assemble in the dining room for supper. We are lovely ladies of the RSPCC, and they are setting up 2 long tables specially for us. But do not forget to put the cotton plugs up your noses. That dining room will be full of filthy little children, and without nose plugs, the stink will be unbearable. Apart from that, remember to behave normally at all times. Is everything clear? Any questions? I have one question, your grandness. What happens if one of the chocolates we are giving away in our shops get eaten by the corona? That's just too bad for the corona. This meeting is over. Out you go. The witches stood up and began gathering their things together, and I was watching them through the crack and hoping to heaven they would hurry up and leave so I might be safe at last. Wait! Shrieked one of the witches. Hold everything! Her shrieking voice echoed throughout the ballroom like a trumpet. All the witches suddenly stopped and turned and looked toward the speaker. She was one of the taller witches, and I could see her standing there with her head tilted back and her nose in the air, and she was sucking in great long breaths of air. "Wait! What is it?" cried the other. "Dog droppings." Just then I got a whiff of dog droppings. "Surely not. That can't be." Yes, there it is again. It's not strong, but there it is. I mean, it's here. It's definitely somewhere, but not too far away. "What's going on down there?" shouted the Grand High Witch. "Mildred's got a whiff of dog droppings, your Grand Highness." "What rubbish is this? She has dog droppings on her brain. There are no children in this room." Hang on, everybody. Don't move. I'm getting it again. It's getting stronger, and it's hitting me harder now. Can't the rest of you smell it? All the noses of the witches in the air went up in the air, and the nostrils began to suck and sniff. "She's right. She's absolutely right. Dog droppings. It is strong and foul." In the matter of seconds, the entire assembly of witches had taken up the dreaded cries of dog droppings. "Dog droppings! The room is full of it! Pooh! Pooh! Why did we not smell it before? It stinks like a sewer. Some little swine must be hiding not so far away from here." "Find it!" screamed the Grand High Witch. "Track it down. Rule it out. Follow your noses till you get it." The hairs on my head were standing up like bristles of a nail brush, and a cold sweat breaking out all over me. "Rule it out, this small lump of dung. Don't let it escape. If it is here, it has observed the most secret things. It must be exterminated immediately." I remember thinking to myself, there is no escape for me now. Even if I make a run for it and manage to dodge the lot of them, I still won't get out because the doors are chained and locked. I'm finished. I'm done for. Oh, Grandmama, what are you going to do to me? I looked around, and I saw a hideous painted and powdered witch's face staring down at me, and the face opened its mouth and yelled triumphantly, "It's here! It's behind the screen! Come and get it!" The witches reached out a gloved hand and grabbed me by the hair, and I twisted free and jumped away. I ran. Oh, how I ran. The sheer terror of it all put wings on my feet. I flew around the outside of the great ballroom, and not one of them had a chance of catching me. As I came level with the doors, I paused and tried to open them, but the big chain was on them and didn't even rattle. The witches were not bothering to chase me. They simply stood there in small groups watching me and knowing for certain that there was no way I could escape. Several of them were holding their noses and gloved fingers, and they were crying, "Pooh, what a stink! We can't stand this much longer. Catch it, you idiots! Spread out like a line across the room and close in. And grab it. Corner this filthy little gumboil and seize it and bring it up here to me." The witches spread out as they were told. They advanced towards me, some of them on one end, some on the other, and they came down the middle between the rows of empty chairs. They were bound to get me. They had cornered me. From sheer and absolute terror, I began to scream, "Help!" I screamed, turned my head. "Help, help, help!" "Get it," said the Grand High Witch. "Grab hold of it. Stop it yelling." They rushed at me, and then about 5 of them grabbed me by my arms and legs and lifted me clear off the ground. I went on screaming, but one of them clapped a gloved hand over my mouth, and that stopped me. "Bring it here. Bring the spine little worm up to me." I was carried onto the platform with my arms and legs held tight by my hands, and I lay there suspended in the air, facing the ceiling. I saw the Grand High Witch standing over me, grinning at me with the most horrible, horrible way. She held up a small blue bottle of the mouse maker and said, "Now for a little medicine. Hold his nose and make him open up his mouth." Strong fingers pinched my nose. I kept my mouth closed tight and held my breath, but I couldn't do it for long. My chest was bursting. I opened my mouth up to get one big quick breath, and as I did, the Grand High Witch poured the entire contents of the little blue bottle down my throat. Oh, the pain and the fire. It felt as though a kettle full of boiling water had been poured into my mouth. My throat was going up in flames. Then very quickly, the frightful burning, searing, scorching feeling started spreading down into my chest and into my tummy and on into my arms and legs and all over my body. I screamed and screamed, but once again the gloved hands were clapped over my lips. The next thing I felt was my skin beginning to tighten. How else can I describe it? It was quite literally a tightening and shrieking of the skin all over my body, from the top of my head to the tips of my fingers to the ends of my toes. I felt as though I was a balloon and somebody was twisting the top of the balloon and twisting, and the balloons were getting smaller and smaller, and the skin was getting tighter and tighter, and soon it was beginning to burst. Then the squeezing began. This time I was inside a suit of iron and somebody was turning a screw, and with each turn of the screw the iron suit became smaller and smaller, so that I squeezed like an orange into a pulpy mess with the juice running out of my sides. After that there came a fierce prickling sensation all over my skin, or what was left of my skin, as though tiny needles were forcing their way out of the surface of the skin from inside, and this I realized was the growing of the mouse fur. Far away in the distance, I heard the voice of the Grand High Witch yelling, 500 doses! The stinking little carbuncle has had 500 doses, and the alarm clock has been smashed, and now we are at instantaneous action. I heard clapping and cheering, and I remember thinking, I am not myself any longer. I have gone clear out of my own skin. I noticed that the floor was only an inch from my nose, and I noticed only a pair of furry little front paws resting on the floor. I was able to move those paws, and they were mine. At that moment, I realized I was not a little boy anymore. I was a mouse. Now for the mousetrap. I've got it right here, and here's a piece of cheese. But I wasn't going to wait for that. I was across the platform like a streak of lightning. I was astonished at my own speed. I leapt over Witch's feet, left and right, and in no time I was down the steps and onto the floor of the ballroom itself, skittering off among the rows of chairs. What I especially liked was the fact that I had made no sound at all as I ran. I was a swift and silent mover, and quite amazingly, the pain had all gone now. I was quite feeling remarkably well. It is not a bad thing, after all, I thought to myself, to be tiny as well as speedy when there's a bunch of dangerous females after your blood. I selected the back leg of a chair and squeezed up against it and kept very still. In the distance, the Grand-High Witch was shouting, "Leave the little stinkpot alone. It is not worth bothering about. It is only a mouse now. Somebody else will soon catch it. Let us get out of here. The meeting is over. Unlock the doors and shove off the Sunshine Terrace to have tea with that idiotic manager." And we're going to stop here. Watch the next video, okay?